Welcome everyone to our first Community Grants Committee meeting under a slightly adjusted format. And welcome to your worship the Mayor on Zoom and anyone else online. So we will open this meeting by all standing, and I'll read the council prayer. Almighty God, as members of the Rangitikei District Council, we give thanks for all the good things of our district and the advantages we enjoy. We pray that you will give us wisdom and guidance as we conduct the affairs of this meeting. We pray for all the communities in the district we represent. Help us to be fair and honest in our discussions and help us to work together in unity for the welfare of all your people. Amen. Amen. I don't believe there's been any apologies received. So all that we just have to move that? No, we're fine then. And I haven't been notified of any public forum. Item number 4, conflict of interest declarations, the usual process. If we're discussing anything you're conflicted, either let us know now or at the time of the discussion, please. Confirmation of order of business is as per the order paper. No additional items. And reports for discussion. Item 6.1, page 5 of the order paper. The Community Initiatives Fund, consideration of applications for round 2, 2024. So this is round 2, and we have a total of 12,186.65 has been requested in round 2. We've had 7 applications. But we might ask, Kezia may want to talk to some of those before we start, please.
Yes. So I just wanted to highlight a few things. So you would have received an email from me prior to the order paper going out, and the figures I provided were incorrect because there's the carryover balance from the year prior. And that's why there's such a high amount to provide as part of this funding round. You also received the Bulls Community Development Trust application. That was a mistake. You shouldn't have received it. That had already been declined at that stage. That bulletin is part of their MOU agreement. They already received funding from council.
So that's part of the event support scheme.
That one's part of the community initiatives fund, yeah. So they have another application as well in the events.
Okay, right. That's right. I understand.
And then you'll have also seen that the Rangitikei MMA, they weren't eligible for the Sport NZ Travel Fund, which is what they had previously applied for. And so we moved that to the Community Initiatives Fund. And also noting that the Forest and Bird did receive funding for another project in the last financial round for their trapping, which the committee can decide whether or not to fund that as well.
So in round 1 of this.
So they
or last year.
So in round 1. So we have set a precedent previously with umbrella organisations of providing if it's for separate projects. So it's up to the committee to make that decision if they'd like to provide funds in that way.
Question. Casey, if I may, Madam Chair.
Yes.
So the funding for the previous Forest and Bird was actually for something slightly different though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Wasn't quite the same thing.
Yeah. It was called traps.
That's right.
And which I believe they've completed their acquittal form, which was attached as well.
Right.
Whereas this application is for the boards.
For the boards, and but it's because it's in the same funding round that we don't normally accept applications from the same.
It was more just a flagging opportunity to say that it does fall outside our criteria, but as a committee there has been a precedent of
you can if you can
providing funds. So it's really just me noting that and highlighting it.
Thank you.
You will have seen in your Big Tin Can that all the applications are now available as we go through it, as we go through the spreadsheet. Just noting that obviously this is all in privacy, it's not on our website or anything due to those bank account details and the names of applicants, but just as a reference for this committee.
Right, and so just for clarity, we've got 12,186.65 has been requested, and there's 23,576 available for us to distribute.
So can you give me that figure again, 23?
So page 5 of your order paper, no,
Okay.
23,576. First item on the reason for the report, 1.1.
Oh, I beg your pardon, there it is. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so I think we will stick with how we've done this in the past, and unless anyone's got any other thoughts, and we will just go around the room with each application. Everyone happy with that?
Just so that Andy can see the spreadsheet.
Oh, right, cool, okay. So, so we'll try and keep this as fast as we can. Andy, do you want to open?
Just trying to read it. Somebody else,
Okay, sure.
I highly recommended this, and it's been well received by, so I stay with the comments. I attend these functions, absolutely great. Strongly recommend.
Sorry, Councillor Carter, you want to comment? Or query? Or?
Yeah, I'm seeing that most of us have agreed with it and of the same
Oh,
figure.
Thank you very much, yeah.
Should we just accept it as it is without having any discussion?
Okay, so Joe,
You may want to have a comment regarding his nil. Oh, no, it's 500, sorry.
yeah, and Joe, so I accept what you say. So Joe, have you got anything you'd like to add beyond what you've written there?
I've just said I was uncertain about our place in funding this, but it's not that I didn't like the idea. I thought it was a great idea, but I do know that there is a bit of a conflict sometimes with funding when it is a school, comes under the school.
So this isn't a school initiative. This is Whanganui area neighbourhood support initiative.
Right.
Basically identifying the lower decile schools and have a program that we have historically supported and has been in place for quite some time, fostering pride in those schools. Yeah, so effectively they identify good works and recognise it. Yeah.
Right, thank you. That clarifies my thoughts.
Okay, so Councillor
So I can-
Sharland, you're the
I'm happy to take that funding back up then in that case,
to what to?
to the what requested.
The 840,
Yes.
thank you. Do you have any comments you'd like to add?
I'm just a bit lost. Where am I? I can't actually read the board properly, even my new
So
glasses.
you're served from the bottom. And your comment is children will benefit from achieving a certificate. Currently you've recommended $500. The requested amount is 840, and all the other councillors are sitting at 840.
Oh, I'll be happy to get 840 then.
Thank you very much. Can we change that? And that will be the committee decision. Next we move to the Brain Injury Association application from Whanganui. They've requested 2,500. And we have a variety of responses there. So let's go through them as per that list there. Andy, have you got any thoughts?
Can you hear me all right?
Yes,
So they do attend REAP, and REAP and Taihape is where all of the organisations turn up. So they are regularly seeing people within our district. They do quote the numbers to me, and they have a number of current clients right throughout the district, not just Taihape. So they are one of the very active organisations. And because we've got money available, I would increase my to 2,000 or 2.5, whichever.
your choice, your worship.
2,000.
Jill,
I did go onto their website and, you know, it does sound really, really good. And I read the noggin. But it was from 2023 and the planned dates, the most up-to-date dates were planned for 2024. So that didn't give me much confidence, which is why I wondered, but maybe there could be a comment that is their face and should be brought up to date. But no, I thought, but I'm happy to stick with my 1,500.
okay. Jeff? Sorry,
I'm-
councillor Wong,
To stick with my $2,000,
okay,
thank you.
councillor Loudon,
Very worthwhile, and difficult space to work in, and, certainly we have an aging population and this, service is going to be needed in the future. So I'm really happy to support it fully.
councillor Carter?
Mr. Sharlin, but I'll carry on.
Oh,
As you
thank
can see, I have 0. Reading the rules and regulations of this funding or of our grant, it states in their funds cannot be paid to individuals. And in their spiel, if you pick up a line, we are seeking funding to assist with the blah, 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 paying liaison officers' wages. That is not what this money is for. They put a lot of red herrings in there on what they do and where they go and how they help people, yes, but it states these funds are used for people's wages, which is not what we do. Hence, I put 0. We have rules and regulations. Let's stick to them, please. Unless proved wrong. That is my thought.
councillor Wong,
Seriously, people.
Chair, I believe that the explanation that we couldn't fund individual people was that we had to fund a service club of some sort, so the money didn't go to the individual's account. As far as funding wages or other expenses for the organisations, I have never seen that being excluded. Unfortunately, I do agree with you to a certain extent, because we'd rather the projects go towards people's services, but the wages and expenses quite often are part of it. And technically, I don't think you're correct. I think that individual part is purely that it doesn't go into an individual account for the reasons that for transparency and those reasons to keep a traceable line. So I hear your concerns, but I don't think that's how the rules are written, is how I interpreted it.
staff, have you got any comments?
So Brian's right in that we don't fund individuals as in putting it towards people's individual bank accounts is usually how we've interpreted that line. But in saying that, there has always been a red flag when it comes to wages. But I don't think that's what the intention of that line and that community initiatives fund guidelines is. But I would also say that it's not very clear in those guidelines either when you read the guidelines. But the understanding from staff has always been it's about people's personal bank accounts and putting funding straight into there, was my understanding. But it is word for word, funds cannot be paid to individuals is what's stated in the guidelines. And so I can understand how it could be considered in a different way.
Councillor Loudon,
I'd definitely like Councillor Carter to reconsider his viewpoint. I think it's an unfortunate turn of phrase that they've used, and that can be expressed back to the organisation. but I'd certainly like councillor Carter to reconsider his viewpoint. The services is a very important one that Ka Whatu Aroa, for example, really struggles to provide any care in this space. And so it's been left to the community groups to do that.
So my understanding is that it's about support and education of people suffering in this way, and we've got about 20 clients in the Rangitikei. There's a cost of servicing those clients when the expertise is outside our area and got to come across. Yeah, and I'm happy. I'm certainly happy to keep my recommendation at the full amount. While you're considering further, we'll talk, councillor Sharland.
Having read through their thing again last night, I'd be happy to increase my recommendation to 2,000.
Thank you. Back to you, councillor Carter.
Average has jumped up to 1,700. I'll go for 1,700.
Just confirming $1,786, is that what you'd like the recommendation to
Yes,
be?
please.
Good. Okay, so that's all good. Thank you. Moving on to the next one. Martin Food Pantry, and we've got the amount requested is $1,000, and we've all suggested $1,000 except for councillor Sharland. Do you want to talk to your thoughts?
I think we've got more money available. I'm happy to increase it along with everybody.
Fantastic. To $1,000?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sure the Martin Food Pantry will be very grateful for that. Bulls Toy Library asking 2,340. Bit more of a variety of options there, so we'll go through this individually. Your worship, have you got anything you'd like to add to your comments?
I would increase it. I'd increase it to $2,000. Like the only thing I question with this is whether they need the staffing that they have. Whether I think is it 1.5 or something FTEs or something like that.
I don't recall that. But I did note that there are approximately 100 families supported or using the facility.
Yeah, they are very active, I think. Yeah, I was looking at my comment there, whether the 27K salary could be reduced with the number of hours. But I'm happy to increase it to 2,000.
Thank you. Joel?
I'm happy with what I've said there. Yeah, I think it's very worthwhile and we need this sort of thing.
Councillor Wong?
Yes, I like this budget. It's a nice one.
Councillor Sharland?
Yeah, again, I'm happy if everybody's happy to go to 2,000.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Carter?
Yeah, I rounded it up. It's not just Bulls they support. There's Hakia, Martin, Sense, and they cover quite a big area. So I'm happy to support. As well, I've got 2,500.
Councillor Loudon?
Good service, and I've supported it before, but reading through the financials, I was concerned about the wages, as was Mayor Andy, and so I'm happy leaving my particular.
Okey-doke. And I'm happy with where I'm at there, so we'll take that average as the conclusion. Oh, beg your pardon. So let's say, yeah, 2,100. Yeah. Is that?
2,146 dollars, only up by 30 cents.
Well, let's, do 2,000, 150, okay. So thank you very much.
The man in the brown hat.
Working harder. Right, so this is the application from the Forest and Bird Association. As we noted earlier, it's the second application for a different project to this fund this year, which is unusual. So if, I'll let you comment on that when we go through, although let's know, so is everyone happy? Does anyone want to discuss that first up? Well, they're happy to receive both applications in this instance because it's two separate projects. Councillor Loudon.
I'm really happy to accept this initiative. It was a completely separate project before, and they're certainly working hard to improve our reserve access and quality.
Anyone else? Any other comments? Councillor Duncan?
Oh, well, you'll see I put 0 there because I wanted to discuss it.
Yes, fine.
I went through their financials, and yeah, they do have a lot of donations, etc. And I just feel that if these signs are in our district, shouldn't we have some sort of ownership over them? And if we're going to pay for them, why wouldn't we be in charge of them and have our logo on them? I just rather than giving money to another organisation to have signs that they can then advertise themselves on. And if we were to take the initiative with these signs, then we could use Rangituki colours, the Ko-Fi, the logo, and even put other things of interest on those signs. So I'm very much on the fence about giving the money over to Forest and Bird for this project.
Good point there.
So I'm just trying to recall, the reserves are are they RDC reserves?
No, they're in the Rangituki.
Yeah,
Three
are
of
they
them.
dock reserves or?
Dock administered, possibly.
I remember seeing these signs and they're not in a good state of repair, so I totally believe we need some sort of signage needs sorting. I know Kim's had quite a bit to do with signs lately. Do you have any thoughts around this?
The thought that springs to mind is the time it takes for this type of thing.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of work to create new signage and get new signage out there and installed. This is a group, I guess, that is going to drive that and do that and get it done. So that's what springs to mind initially. I like the thought, and whether you could put in a clause about using the logo on them, but they drive it and get it done.
Your worship.
Yeah, I don't know how many of you have walked around this track. There's been a huge amount of effort put in, but I would have a conversation with them because once you walk around the track, it is easy to miss the exit, the way that the loop is configured. Have any of you actually walked around it?
No,
Because
sorry, I haven't.
I'd quite like to have a conversation with them because when I've walked around it, it is possible to get it wrong. And a couple of other people have made a similar comment to me. So there might be a need for an external sign and a very small internal sign, but I think the 1290 should cover that.
Councillor Wong.
I would just like to agree with the comments so far, but we should have a clause to say if we don't control it, at least to put our logo on it, saying sponsored by, or along those lines, just to mention the council, since it would be.
So we're all in agreement that this is conditional on our logo being on the sign, please. That sounds reasonable, councillor Sharlin.
So if that's the, if we're recommending that, I'm happy to increase my donation to $1,000.
Thank you.
And I'll do likewise. Oh, well, in actual fact, I'll go 12.90.
Thank you. There we go. So no more discussion. The average comes to 1248.57. So we'll go to 1,250, please. Tybee Community Development Trust have put in a request for $2,000. And there's a little bit of variance there, so we'll go back to Andy and ask for, his comments.
Yeah, I stick with my comments. The budget is poor. There's very little detail in it. There is a lot of question marks being asked per se around fireworks displays. And I would have expected them to have had quite a conversation with Pikitura Hero around Matariki and working in together. That may have happened, but I'm just not aware of it.
Thank you.
I'd be prepared to increase mine to $1,000, but that would be it.
Would anyone else like to comment or change their recommendation at this stage?
My comes with my comment.
Thank you, councillor Carter. Councillor Duncans.
I agree, the budget was very bad. However, it did, I read it a couple of times and I read the letter, the accompanying letter of support from the people who are going to supply and bring up the fireworks and put on the display. And it does seem that the minimum amount of money needed would mean that they need this $2,000 to go ahead, really. So I like the idea of public fireworks displays versus lots of people blowing up cats in the back alley. So I thought this was actually probably quite a good thing. And we haven't had a fireworks display in Taihape for quite some time. I know Mangaweka does put one on, which is not very far away, but it would be nice to see something like this in town for a change, not necessarily as an annual event. So that's why I supported it.
Thank you. Councillor Loudon.
I think it's important to celebrate Matariki. It's becoming a very important event for everybody. I also support public firework displays as opposed to privately used fireworks. And I certainly would think Councillor Carter should think again about his contribution, because the fire service would welcome a public event that is controlled and managed rather than individuals.
So everyone at this table has their right to their opinion. I think we should try not to point to other councillors and influence that way if we can. Yeah, so then any other comments? Okay, so we've got an average here of 1,285.71, and so that we will round that up to 1,300, please. Now, I'm sorry, this didn't come through to me, this one, so I would like to add a recommendation. So they are asking for $2,200 $16.65. Yeah, who would like to discuss their thoughts here? Councillor Wong.
I evaluated this under the sports sponsorship. So my last comment is not relevant anymore. And I'd like to increase my funding to $2,000. Can you delete my last comment to not the whole comment, just the last line, please, just the last sentence. They're eligible, but I don't know. Yeah, anyway. Something like that. That's fine.
Councillor Loughnan?
I was confused as to where this application sat, and so I would like to delete my comment and put in amount of 2,216.65. It's a worthwhile organisation, that's great.
So I too would like to support them to the full amount. I have at council meet and greets on the Green, I've met members of this organisation. I was very impressed by their community commitment. I've only heard really good things about what they're doing down in the hall in Wilson Park. I'd be really interested in going and having a look. And I just love that it's an offering right across our community. I know my sister-in-law brings her 3 girls up from Hunterville to do it. And so, and I believe they are very helpful at things like the Christmas parade, donating time, assisting with the rubbish and all those sort of things. So I'm really keen to fully support this organisation, and I'm really thankful for how they're bringing our community together. Any other comments?
As with mine, you've been blindsided with what the club does. The application is for funding for an individual player to go to coaching. It's not about them picking up rubbish at the bloody market day or anything else. It's the application for funding for coaching. And in terms of it, is for teams to go to tournaments, annual tournaments. I'm sorry, not tournaments, for competition, year-long competition. This is an individual going to individual coachings. Doesn't fit the criteria. Shouldn't be funded. She's about to bite.
No, that's okay. You're right, it didn't fit the criteria for the Sport NZ Rural Travel Fund, and that's why it's being considered as a community initiative fund, that it didn't fit under the Sport NZ Fund guidelines. And the benefit of community initiatives fund is that it's up to this panel to make that decision, whereas Sport NZ has external funding. So we have to report back on whether or not we're meeting that. Whereas compared to here, there's a bit more discretionary based on what this committee decides. So they definitely don't fit the criteria for Sport NZ, and that's not what they're being assessed under. Is that what you were kind of referring
That's
to?
what I'm referring to in that respect, but it's for an individual to go to coaching, not for the team. That's what I'm sticking to.
Any other adjustments, or everyone happy with where that sits? Can't ask, Your Worship.
Yeah, just a side comment, and I know it's not part of the application, but with the B and C dams, when the paths got put in for that, the lime had to be wheelbarrowed in. They decided to use that as one of their major training exercises, seeing how fast they could push wheelbarrow full of lime. So just a side comment. It's not part of the application, but I just thought you might be interested.
That's with the red hearings.
Yeah.
I got one by a senior councillor pleading to acknowledge this group because of their help to the community. They help set up the tents and stuff at the market days and that sort of thing. There's nothing to do with the application.
Yeah, absolutely accept that, Brian. And I only raised it because if you are talking to them, you should be aware of what they do.
Oh, I'm aware of what they do and the group does, but the application is for a person going to coaching lessons around the country.
Yeah, and I absolutely accept that, and you have that right.
Yep,
And-
thank you. Just hope everyone else doesn't get blindsided by the good that they do. That's what the application is.
So everyone at this table has the right to
Oh, I'm
recommend what they would like. Councillor Duncan.
Yes, can I ask staff, so by changing it from the Sports New Zealand Travel Fund into the Community Initiatives Fund, does this application then meet the criteria?
We can pull up the application if you like, and we can quickly go through it.
I'm assuming that's why you did it. though.
Yeah, so they definitely didn't meet the guidelines for Sport NZ Rural Travel Fund. Whereas we've taken applications previously, not from Sport NZ, but from that haven't been quite fit the guidelines. I'd say that it probably doesn't fit the intention of the Community Initiatives Fund, but there's technically nothing excluded in terms of what they're paying for, if that makes sense.
So it's
And the guideline.
effectively at our
Discretionary.
discretion
Yeah,
if we want to support this or not.
but we couldn't under the Sports New Zealand.
That's correct.
Travel
Yeah.
Fund. Okay, well, I'm happy to sit with where I am then.
Thank you. Councillor Sharlin.
I think any program that gives young people an opportunity to get sports coaching is amazing, and it should be taken up, because I see my own grandchildren get the same opportunities and they just thrive. They flourish. I mean, it's even better. So I fully support it.
Thank you. No further discussion then. We'll, the average is 1,735.71. So we will, take that to, 1,700, please.
That's going down, sorry. Ben?
Yeah. Are we always going up? Okay, 1,750 it is then. Thanks for the help.
If you just give me 1 moment, I'll fill out the resolution.
Thank you.
I received the report.
Thank you. Do I have a mover, and seconder for receiving the report, please? Thank you, councillor Duncan. Thank you, councillor Wong. Mm. Sorry, Kizzy, the red herring there for me is that 2014 for the, it seems to be a, so which also seems to be a odd amount. We take that to 2,050, please. I'm happy to move that recommendation. Oh,
Well, with now funding,
yes, so more or less, we had 23,576 available to be allocated, and we only had applications of 12,000. We'll just let Kezia do that maths for you though.
Yeah, correct. It usually has the total at the bottom.
Thank you. Nice. So I'd like to move that, that we accept that we approve that sponsorship as per listed above there. Can we have a second for that, councillor Carter? Which leaves us, do we want to deal with the 10,000? Oh, all those in favour?
Aye.
Against? The treatment of the balance 10,340. Do you want to take us through the options there, Kezia?
Yes, so there's obviously quite a bit of a carryover balance. And it might be of benefit for me to have more of a conversation with Ms. McDonald about our options. Because you don't want to be in a position probably, I mean, this is an assumption, of carrying over every single time to that amount. So previously last year, there was the recommendation to carry forward, or we could potentially look at not carrying forward whatsoever and just leaving the $30,000 balance available for the Community Initiatives Fund.
So do you want to answer to that now or?
It would be fantastic to have, if there was an opinion from the committee, to have a recommendation to council.
Your worship.
Yeah, I received an interest from a group after this closed, and I said, well, look, unfortunately, it has closed. I don't know whether you want to entertain another applicant.
Any thoughts at the table? Yeah,
Listen to it.
that's the one.
Yes, I'm quite open to a late entry, especially as we should endeavour to fulfil our service to the community and with money out if we could.
Is that a recommendation, councillor Wong?
Discussion point so far,
Okay.
we've got lots of hands.
To receive a late application, as the mayor has suggested, we'd have to open it up to the whole community because there would be other people that have gone, we missed a date. So you'd have to open it up to everybody.
Councillor Duncan?
I agree. I think it's very tricky to, because it actually isn't a late application, it's just a word in the mayor's ear. If it actually had come to staff late, then staff do have the opportunity and to ask if it can be included. But this isn't an application, it's just someone saying that they wish they'd got it in on time and they would have done one. As far as I'm aware, unless you have something on paper, Andy, I just think it's very, very tricky to do that. So I'm speaking against that.
I agree, and that's why I said to them the applications have closed, and it would be up to them to do anything further. But it's remissive. Oh, sorry.
Potentially I could provide a suggestion through you,
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yeah.
We are open for the annual plan at the moment. That is a space that often we get a number of community requests, so that could be an option. And then at that stage, council would need to consider whether or not it was appropriate to fund that activity outside of a Community Initiatives Fund application round.
That's probably a better place to do it.
That's a great idea. Thank you.
Do we need to make a recommendation around that? No. Thank you, Kezia.
So I'd already spoken to Leanne about that option, and it would still be a carry forward amount to be spent in the following financial year.
Right. Okay.
That makes sense.
So all in agreement, no more discussion required? Yeah, okay. I think that's a great a great way forward. Now we move along to the events support scheme and our considerations of applicants for round 2 for 24-25. I think there's a bit of an update from Kezia.
So just noting that Taipi Netball Centre application was withdrawn as the event had occurred, and that was noted in the assessments as well that had been returned. I had been in contact to check if there was another event coming up of the similar nature, and that won't be until next year, so they won't be applying again until the following financial year. So there's only 2 applications to consider in this round. And that would be below the amount available now.
Right. Councillor Loudon.
I just a comment about the Taipi netball situation. The application was actually made in February, and the event took place in March. And it's a situation of timing, and I noted that on my comments when we did this, and I just wasn't sure of the fact that we are doing this late as opposed to the two rounds.
So should they not have applied to round one? Maybe that wasn't, they weren't, weren't thinking about this particular program at that time, but let's hope going forward,
Yeah.
they could apply in, round one,
It shows they don't need the money if they've already had it,
possibly.
put it that way.
Councillor Duncan.
It shows
Perhaps I could give some clarification. The Taipi Netball Centre became aware of this fund at a Park User Group meeting after Christmas. And it was during that meeting that they discussed their dates and the application, and they were aware that it would be post-funded if funded, and that there wasn't not much likelihood of being post-funded, if that makes sense. So I did actually ring them to make sure that the application was still correct, because sometimes these dates change for the tournaments, and they said yes, no, it had gone ahead. It was very successful, and they were looking forward to applying for the next event next year and at the end of the year to this fund. So I think that's quite clear. And they weren't disappointed because they suspected that was what was going to happen.
Oh, well, congratulations to Taipi Netball. It sounded like a great initiative, and I liked that it was going to also use the new building there and offer that a wonderful opportunity to Taipi youth. Councillor Carter?
concern if you're going for funds to have an event, you don't get the funds, but you still are able to carry out the event. Did you need the funds to start with?
We don't need to discuss that because their application has been withdrawn anyway.
Oh, yeah, I'm aware of that, but in that respect, by post-funding an event that has happened, is our monies needed?
We're not considering funding it after the event, so that can be up for you to think about when you're making, when you're thinking about their next application, whatever's put in front of us, yeah. And did you have any comments? No, okay, thank you. Okay, so the Bulls and District Community Trusts have applied for 4,807.24. A variety of options there, so let's go through them individually. Paul or Councillor Charlin.
Yeah, I attended that event last year and I thought it was not substandard, but I think they could improve it a heck of a lot more than they did last year. I know they put a lot of work into it, but it just, to me, it wasn't up to standard.
Thank you. And have you got any comments?
Yeah, they know that it wasn't up to standard. We've had that discussion. They've changed the way that they are doing it, as far as I'm aware, in conversations with them. I'd increase my funding because money is available to 3,000.
Councillor Duncan.
Yes, so I wasn't happy with their budget. So I went through and sorted out what I would fund. And as I've said, their venue hire, stage hire and signs, cost of a photographer. Well, we do have funds, so I'd be happy to cover that as well. I think there was another $1,000 for the photographer. So yeah, I would increase mine to 3,000.
Councillor Wong.
I'm quite happy where I am. Thank you.
Councillor Carter.
Having been a contestant in said
Conflict of interest.
Competition is fantastic. It brings a lot of people together and involves a lot of kids with their art and everything else and being creative. It's really, really fantastic. Last year might have been a bit of a schmozzles because of the fact of trying to get over COVID and getting things organised again.
Mm.
But prior to that, they were a fantastic event to be involved in. And by the way, I came first in my division.
Of course.
Councillor Loudon.
I'm happy with that, thank you.
So, I too, I didn't attend the event last year. I attended it in its, maybe its heyday, some years ago. What I liked was that so my daughter entered, so it was attracting youth right across the district. And I thought it was fantastic at that time. Yeah, Councillor Shannon.
Following on the mayor's comments, I'd be happy to increase mine to 3,000 then if they it's going to get a lot better.
Thank you. No other discussion, so that average comes to 3,258. So let's make that 3,300, please. Next is the Gumboots Brass and Wind Ensemble application for $748. I can see IIS. So any thoughts around any of this? Councillor Wong.
Councillor Duncan and I attended this brass band when they played at the local area school in Taiapi last year. And that was a free concert, which was very enlightening, and it's great to see a variety of art forms being brought to the region. So I recommend, and it's a very small project, so it's great.
Anyone else wish to comment?
Yeah, could you round mine up to 800, please?
Councillor Duncan.
I feel I have to speak to this as well. It's so different to see children up there on brass instruments, and they were getting little children out of the audience and giving them a go. And actually, most of them wanted to just bash the drum, but it is a really, I mean, it's a relatively humble amount that they're asking for, and they put on a fantastic show. So I just think that these people work hard to bring it to the children, and I just think it's fantastic. So I really highly recommend it.
So given that amazing feedback, I'd like to increase my recommendation to 750, please. Councillor
You
Shannon.
stuck me in, Councillor Duncan, so I'll go for the same.
Did you want 750 or 748?
750. Round it up.
That's a bargain.
So therefore, are we able to give them more than the application?
It's a bit unprecedented.
Okay.
But
So-
we can show it if you'd like. The committee wishes.
Well, I think probably it's best to just leave it at the requested amount. Does everyone agree? Therefore, so we'll leave it at the 748. Thank you. So, Councillor Wong.
So I move recommendation 2 as a block, please.
We'll just get that detailed recommendation 2 up. And seconded, please, Councillor Carter, thank you. All those in favour?
Right.
Carried.
So going on from that, would you like a recommendation that includes both amounts from Community Initiatives Fund and the Event Support Scheme to be carried forward for the annual plan?
Sorry, probably I should have clarified that. The suggestion around the annual plan was for the party that was looking for outside funding. It wasn't for a carry forward amount.
Okay. So you're wanting a recommendation now around that, or will that become part of the annual plan discussion?
The alternative through you, Madam Chair, is Ms McDonald will be running a carry forward process, so we could always just bring it through for discussion with full council as part of that wider carry forward process, unless this committee wanted to specifically recommend an outcome.
I'm happy that it comes through as part of the discussion. I am aware that our, we've taken the amount available to the event support scheme, particularly from 50 down to 25. So my personal thoughts are that I would like that any amount in the event support scheme to be carried forward particularly. So I would be concerned if we got less, so there's a kind of a shortage in that pot for events. However, maybe on the community initiative side, that has been undersubscribed. So I think that can be up for discussion of full council as to what happens to that 10,000. There may be a bit of use of it.
Sorry, for clarification, we allocated $10,000, 10,340, or was the carryover potential?
Allocated 10,340.
We did. So what is the potential
The
carryover?
remaining number is $13,200.
Beg your pardon, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that being the case, councillor Loudon.
If there's going to be a thought that the applicant who was our client was to put an application through in the plan process that be socialised for other people as well. So that
Sure, I think that's common practice. I certainly, as an elected member, encourage people at the annual plan time, if they want some money for something, that's their time to put it in. So I think people that understand the process, they should know that.
some people might not understand the process, so it should be socialised.
So you're wanting a communication plan around that?
I'm just making this suggestion that if there's money going to be available, because we haven't been able to allocate it now, that we should be letting the community know that there is potentially some money available, and that if you have any applications, they need to be made at the annual plan process.
Sure, okay, thank you.
Could I provide a comment on that through you, Madam Chair? I would just be somewhat cautious around advertising that, because the decision that council would have to make through the annual plan process is whether or not to fund a project outside of a community initiatives fund round, which would be a project that would otherwise be considered as a community initiatives fund. I'm not sure that we could assume that council would be comfortable doing that to the extent that we would be publicly advertising for people to put in applications to fill that funding void. It is a little bit of a difficult situation. Quite regularly through our annual plan process, we get a range of funding requests that come through that. So it's quite a difficult one, but I would I wouldn't feel comfortable putting out communications suggesting that there's funds available where it's a situation that council would have to decide as a whole whether that was appropriate.
So if I reflect back, we have our response to some submissions in previous annual plans has been this would be appropriately funded through the Community Initiative Fund. So
Usually going forward, not retrospectively.
yeah, yeah. Mm. Okay. Any other comments? So we've got all that signed up. Look, so the Community Initiatives Fund project forms, I'd like to move that they be received. Seconded Councillor Duncan. And say similarly with the events support scheme. Oh, all in favour. Carried, guys, they will today. Similarly with the events support scheme, happy to recommend that their project report forms be received. Seconded, please, Councillor Sharland. All those in favour?
Aye.
Carried. The meeting closed.
Thank you.